Okay. So potential problems, things that go wrong. Um, the first thing is it a scheduled maintenance day? I wake up about every other Monday, try to log in, and then have my first cup of coffee. Um, they send during maintenance. The systems are often closed off during maintenance. There's a weekly reminder beforehand. There's a banner message, I believe, that they put out letting you know that it's going to be maintenance. And then there's an all clear email sent out when the machines come out of maintenance. Maintenance is every other month. Generally, the scheduled maintenance is every other Monday. Occasionally, there are off-cycle maintenances made due to security concerns, facility issues like heating and power. Um, but again, in those cases, there's notification as soon as possible, and all of that notification comes through email. Um, Crypto card passwords. So these things, they remember that there's a PIN required at the start, and that everything is all uppercase. So if you're having trouble logging in, try PIN plus password again. Try logging into a different login node. Try generating a new password, but you don't want to do too many of those in a row. At 10 of them, you get locked out. So like if the first password doesn't work and the second password doesn't work, I might give it a third, but I wouldn't take it much farther.
I think the threshold is actually much lower, like 5. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's hard to say.
But you don't, if the first password's not working, you don't want to push it too many times in a row. Um, there are unlock and resync steps with a description of what those are on our user guide. Uh, and if all of those things fail, try connecting with SSH-VVV with as much information about the host you're logging in from and the time that you're attempting to connect, and get in contact with support at alsf.anl.gov. And someone on the help desk staff usually can help sort things out. Uh, Most of the time, it's not a major issue. So when things go running, I had mentioned the .cobalt log, .error, and .output files. The only one that's generated when it's submission time is the .cobalt log. Again, it's kind of like your receipt at the dry cleaners. It's the pieces that you need, that operations needs to kind of figure out what's running. Um, the boot status, once the job starts, will be written to Cobalt log. Other messages may be written to the .error file. Some things that are not error may be written to the .error file. They come from run job in the Blue Gene system. At no time, unlike those annoying Cray systems, will there be anything written to the standard out. So if your job doesn't do any standard out, don't be surprised if there's 0 standard out. At the same time, if you had a successful run, don't be surprised if there's still messages sent to standard error. If you think there's been any sort of an issue, again, save all 3 files, send the job ID, what machine you were running on, and a copy of files to support at alsf.anl.gov. You can also usually just send the file path to where those files can be found, and that'd be fine as well. I would also recommend keeping a copy of the binary in case you think it's a compilation problem or something went wrong during linking and showed up during runtime.
I would recommend that unless one of the files is really huge, that you just attach them to the email, because not everyone who could help you has access to files, depending on where they are.
So one of the things that you'll find a spew of within your output file is what's referred to as RAS messages. And RAS stands for reliability, availability, and serviceability. And 99.95% of what you will see is just system noise. The run job system and on the Blue Gene by default just merely reports the last RAS event, even if it's just purely informational. So what we have in just order of severity, there's info, warn, error, but only the fatal RAS events will terminate an application. That is to say, unless your job exits with a non-zero exit code and there is a fatal RAS event, it was probably something code side. You may see errors, and those will degrade performance, but they will not kill a job. If it's, again, every 2 weeks they do system maintenance, and part of what's going on during system maintenance is if there are noisy parts, so things that are throwing a lot of RAS events, the Blue Gene administrators will move those parts around. They will run they'll run all sorts of diagnostics, and they will do their best to eliminate that part from the system and eliminate the noise. Uh, so um, again, even if it's a software problem, the run job output will show the last RAS event, and it becomes really easy to go, oh gosh, I had a RAS event. This must be a system problem. When again, the only true system problems are those that are terminate with fatal. Core files. Everyone loves core files. Jobs experiencing fatal errors will generally produce a core file for each process. The default core file format is a lightweight core file format that's in text format. You can read them with more or less, them, Emacs. Choose the religion of your choice. There's a command bgq stack, which can take those core files and pull them together. So that way you can see state and trace back through what was going on.
You want to switch back to presentation mode?
No,
Oh.
I really don't. Because for whatever reason, I have trouble keeping the two windows going. Core processor, which provides a GUI interface. Think of it as kind of being like BG Stack on steroids. There's two other environment variables. You can force a core dump on exit with BG underscore core dump on exit. There's also, if you're finding yourself run out of directory space and everything else, and you kind of know where things are going, say you're doing printf debugging, you can use BG underscore core dump disable to disable the creation of core files. There's a handful of other environment variables listed within the Blue Gene Application Developer's Redbook. They allow you to produce binary core files and or restrict which ranks are producing core files. So if you think it's something, say, a handful of your nodes are doing IO routines or something, and you think it's just them who's creating the problem, it is possible to restrict which ranks are going to dump core. Other resources for getting help. There's our web pages, the user guide. Again, if you're worried about thinking it might be a maintenance day, you can always check the Gronkulator, the status pages. Feel free to email us at support@alsf.anl.gov. If you're more comfortable talking on the phone, it's possible to call 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And call the help desk, or you can, if you're an Insight user, you can reach out directly to a Catalyst, and we will do our best to assist you. Things that people are going to look for in case of trouble, again, which machines are involved, the job IDs, the exact error message involved. So again, if you can, as already mentioned, attach output in the error file, well, the error file specifically, that's excellent. The exact command executed, the file system that was used, the path to any files that are involved, your username and project name that the problem pertains to, and if you're having trouble connecting again, where you're trying to connect from, its IP address, any sort of relevant host information, and any sort of any additional information you can give us about the application name, about the application's name, where we could find source or documentation.